Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today we will rank every My Hero Academia awakened quirk user. But before moving on to video, please do subscribe. Most of the people just watch my videos, and don't even subscribe. I regularly upload manga news, manga spoilers, anime news and so many. So please do subscribe. And now, a select few characters from My Hero Academia have seen a major power-up thanks to their quirk awakening. It's true that any character can train their quirk to make it stronger after some time, however, only a handful have awakened their quirks after undergoing extreme situations where their lives were in danger. Even if it hasn't been explained in full what a quirk awakening is in My Hero Academia, the manga has already shown at least 5 characters undergoing one. There were differences in their awakenings, but they all involved strong emotions in a life or death situation. Now, this new mechanic puts them among the strongest characters in the manga. On number 5 is Geten. Geten had one of the first awakened quirks in the series. While Geten's quirk awakening happened off-screen, he was one of the first characters to have one. Originally, his quirk Ice Ply allowed him to move ice telekinetically, and that was it. This was already a strong quirk, but it still depended on there being an ice supply nearby, which is hard to come by naturally, even in an urban setting like a city. However, when fighting Dobby in Deka City during the battle between the League of Villains and the Meta Liberation Army, there seemed to be an abnormal amount of ice available for Geten to manipulate. The ice quirk user then revealed the full extent of his power. He had evolved from only moving ice to changing its shape and temperature. By manipulating its temperature, Geten was able to freeze liquid water from small ice pieces, increasing the ammunition available to him. The full scope of this ability was shown in chapter number 230 of the manga, where Geten revealed he had frozen the whole water supply of Deka City. Geten's quirk was so strong he put Dobby, one of the strongest members of the League of Villains, against the ropes. Ultimately though, he was overpowered by Shigaraki, who also awakened his quirk during the same arc. On 4 number is Himiko. Himiko Toga harnesses others' appearances and quirks. During her fight against Miss Curious from the Meta Liberation Army, Himiko Toga became the first member of the League of Villains to awaken their quirk. Fans were well accustomed to the base form of her quirk. If she drinks the blood of another person, she can transform into them for some time. This quirk already made her deadly enough, thanks to Toga's capabilities for infiltration. But the awakening allowed her to also mimic the quirks of the people she transformed into, if she cared strongly for them. Toga discovered this when using Uraraka Ochako's quirk to defeat Miss Curious in chapter number 226 of the manga. With this new ability, Toga's destructive potential rose exponentially. With the right blood sample, she could reach a level of destruction comparable to Dobby or even Shigaraki as shown during the final war arc. By copying twice his quirk, she became one of the biggest threats to the heroes. Her army of clones overpowered both professional heroes and students, and her rampage seemed to be unstoppable. In fact, Toga almost killed Ochako during their battle, after stabbing her in the stomach. Number 3 is Uraraka. Uraraka Ochako's power expands exponentially. The most recent quirk awakening happened to a student and finally tipped the scale in favor of the heroes. Uraraka's quirk awakening was shown in chapter number 393 of the manga and was the only thing able to stop Himiko Toga's clone attack. The biggest weakness of Uraraka's quirk was that she needed to touch her objective with her hands to make it float. This was a huge problem since it made it hard to float multiple objectives at the same time, and she also had to get close enough to each target to touch it, leaving herself extremely vulnerable to attacks. However, her awakening nullified this weakness. Similar to Shigaraki, Uraraka's awakening allowed her to float targets she didn't touch directly beforehand. Instead, anything that came into contact with something she had already used her quirk on would receive the same effect. Suddenly, her close combat quirk received a massive buff by extending its range, and during her fight with Toga, the young hero was able to quickly float the clone army. The cost was huge though, as Uraraka had to be at death's door to achieve her full potential, leaving her incapacitated for the rest of the battle. Number 2 is Shigaraki. Shigaraki Tamura destroys all. As the leader of the League of Villains, and All for One's successor, it's only logical that Shigaraki had one of the strongest quirk awakenings. At base form, his quirk was already dangerous enough, almost killing Eraserhead more than once, but it suffered the same weakness as Uraraka. They both were close-range quirks. However, during his fight with Redestro, Shigaraki was unable to close the distance between him and his enemy. After a traumatic revival of his past, Shigaraki unlocked his full potential. Now, Shigaraki's decay quirk can spread beyond the original target he touched to objects that the target touches, and covers an enormous area. When the manga first showed Shigaraki's awakening in chapters 238 and 239, Deka City was left in crumbles as a result. Then, in chapter number 271, Shigaraki once again laid destruction as he woke up from his induced coma, healed from all his previous battle wounds. This time, countless heroes lost their lives, unable to escape the massive range of his decay. Since then, Shigaraki has evolved quickly, becoming the biggest threat to the world and causing a lockdown around Japan. Only those heroes able to avoid the ground can face him without putting themselves in immediate danger. Number 1 is Izuku Midoriya. Izuku Midoriya manifests multiple quirks. Like Shigaraki, Deku has evolved at lightning speed since his quirk awakening. Originally, One for All was a power that passed the strength of all previous holders of the quirk towards the current user. But after the incident during the joint training with Class 1B shown in chapter number 211 of the manga, One for All's true potential was revealed. Not only did it pass the accumulated strength, but Deku also inherited every previous user's quirk. Furthermore, he was also capable of entering an alternate plane where he could talk with the past holders of One for All, allowing them to serve as guides to Deku's newest quirks. Now Deku has 7 quirks at his disposal and is close to achieving his full potential. The only thing holding him back right now is his own body, as it's not yet ready to handle One for All, let alone 6 extra quirks. However, Deku has found ways to get around his current limitations. He always had a big battle IQ, and it's showing against his final battle against Shigaraki. With FA Jin and Gear Shift, Deku can deliver insanely powerful attacks without putting his body at risk, and by combining Float and Black Whip, he can make sure Shigaraki won't touch any surface, nullifying the villain's quirk for good. So far, we've seen many other characters coming close to awakening their quirks as well. One could even argue that Bakugo's final attack against Shigaraki or Todoroki's ultimate move called Phosphor were forms of quirk awakenings. However, compared to the power-ups received by the characters on this list, they fall short of being considered an awakening. There is no doubt that more characters will achieve this feat soon though, expanding the list of My Hero Academia characters with awakened quirks. And that's it for today folks, hope you liked this video. If yes, don't forget to like the video.